and now to see this see this seemingly irreparable rift is quite shocking, really.
Yeah, I know this one's going to get a lot of people talking, and especially, the whole legal drama with Meghan and the Daily Mail, and then the witness statement from
Right.
Jason, and that having tied to Prince William. Like, that's a big accusation.
It is, and isn't it interesting that in the documentary they have this? They wind up with this kind of this wonderful narrative. She says it's a modern fairy tale, and Harry says we've made it to the other side. A very sweet ending, an ending to a great love story. But then there's a disclaimer after that, in which they rehash the whole thing. William's secretary denies that he ever issued this, ever leaked this information, and then the Sussexes get the final word when their lawyers say, in fact, or they issue a formal statement saying, "Oh no, we never authorized him to issue this information." So it's another swipe at William, and it makes it rather obvious that the tensions between William, I think they're not just simmering or festering anymore. I mean, I think this is just a chasm that isn't going to be breached at any time soon.
Yeah, no, it was interesting that they decided to put that disclaimer at the end and not as a button to that story when they were talking about it previously. So like you said, yeah, they try to definitely get the last word in. And it seems like the tension is more so between Harry and William and not so much Harry and King Charles, as many probably thought.
Right. Although I think that any attack on William is going to be seen, because William is the heir, is going to be seen as an attack on the monarchy and an attack on Charles. And Charles is the person who's got to keep this whole thing together. If this dog and pony show known as the monarchy is going to continue to thrive, it's only going to be because of Charles's ability to navigate all of this. If he can't, I think they're in real trouble. Mm-hmm. It's very, very damaging to the reputation of the monarchy.
Right. Do you feel like William had anything to do with Jason giving that witness statement, or do you? I mean, that's a very tricky path to go down.
It is. I mean, my guess is it would have had to have been approved by him, because it is fundamentally an attempt to, undercut his brother and his brother's wife. So I can't see how that kind of statement could have been made without William's approval.
Do you think that Harry's problem still is with the firm or the institution side of things, or is it with his family, or is it a little bit of both? I found it interesting also that William and Charles all had an agreement that their press offices would never go after one another. And it seems like once that trust was broken, a lot of the cracks started to show.
Right, exactly. And it's a combination. I mean, they're interwoven, they're intertwined. There's no way to really separate the family from the firm. I guess it was Meghan who said that it was a situation where the firm was the family was being destroyed by the family firm. Mm-hmm. The way she phrased it was accurate. I mean, because the family firm is everything, of course. And again, you've got to remember, they are the living, breathing embodiment of the state. So they really have a lot on their shoulders, especially the mom.
Yeah. It was interesting. He said when he went back to for Prince Philip's funeral that they also had conversations at that point, which we reported back at the time. But it's interesting that he felt at that time that no one was ever going to take genuine accountability or have a genuine apology. I mean, do we know any of what those inner workings of those conversations were like? And have they had any conversations since?
I don't believe they've had any conversations since, except for the passing niceties they would have had at the Queen's funeral before they were together. I did describe in the King the meeting and how formal it was, rigid it was, and how everyone seemed to be holding to their positions and they weren't getting anywhere. And it was held as kind of a very offhand, matter-of-fact get-together right after the kind of very touching funeral service during the height of COVID for Prince Philip, and the Queen was left there all alone, sitting in a pew. But if anybody had hoped that there would be some sort of, and by the way, the chance for reconciliation really was pushed by Kate. You do remember that while she walked up the hill from the funeral service toward Windsor Castle, it was Kate who kind of maneuvered herself so the two brothers could be together. Because I think she, more than anyone else at that time, wanted to some sort of reconciliation to take place.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to watch this and be like, why couldn't they just come to some sort of resolution? Why didn't the royal family just allow them to move to Canada, do what they wanted to do, have half in, half out, move to South Africa, be half in, half out, and still honor and work for the Queen? I mean, why don't you think they just kind of gave into that?
It's just a rigid system, and I don't think there's any imagination there. I mean, of course, they had in Meghan, they had a valuable asset. When you're talking about the Commonwealth, as they pointed out, a third of the world's population belongs to the Commonwealth, mostly people of color. Obviously, she's a terribly charismatic person and warm person, and would have been a perfect ambassador for the monarchy. But no, rules are rules, and that's how the senior, you'd think younger bureaucrats there would see the wisdom inherent in it, but apparently they didn't.
Right. Well, you make a good point, because it seems like it was Charles and William that wanted nothing to do with this agreement, and it was the Queen that kind of sat back and kind of took it all in. So it really, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it is her decision, but it seemed like she would have gotten a lot of pushback from her son and grandson.
Right. And you'd think personalities might eclipse all of these rules. You'd think that the affection that Charles seemed to have had for Meghan, and the friendship that they were building, and the friendship the Queen was building with Meghan, they really did, welcome her into the family. And but that wasn't enough, I guess. Human emotions don't figure into this whole, thing as much as I suppose they should.